If you clicked on this video thinking big brands never fail, then you're exactly where you need to be. Today, you're going to get what you came for. Real stories of famous companies launching products that were supposed to change the game, but instead became some of the biggest flops in business history. And trust me, some of these are so strange that you'll wonder how they were approved in the first place. So stay with me, because the deeper we go, the more unbelievable it gets. Let's start with something that sounds almost impossible. Imagine a man being locked in prison for 4 years without committing any crime. Why? Because authorities were convinced that he could start a nuclear war just by whistling into a telephone. It sounds absurd, but fear can cloud judgment. When people are scared enough, logic sometimes disappears. And the same thing happens in the corporate world. Sometimes companies become so convinced of an idea that they stop questioning whether it actually makes sense. Take animation in the early days. Before advanced CGI and computer-generated effects, every single frame of a cartoon had to be drawn by hand. Characters were sketched on transparent sheets, backgrounds were painted separately, and each layer was carefully aligned to create movement. Thousands of drawings came together for just a few seconds of smooth animation. It was slow, detailed, and exhausting work, but the result felt magical. There were no shortcuts. If someone had tried to rush the process, the quality would have suffered instantly. That level of patience and craftsmanship is something we rarely see today. Now picture walking into a futuristic restaurant. Instead of flipping through a paper menu, a 3D version of your food appears directly on your table. You can rotate the dish, zoom in, look at it from every angle before ordering.
It feels like you're inside a high-graphics video game.
Selecting your meal in virtual space. The technology exists, the experience looks incredible, but the question is, would you actually prefer this over a simple printed menu? Innovation doesn't always mean improvement. Here's another example of perception versus reality. Most people believe sharks are one of the most dangerous creatures on Earth. Movies have made sure of that. But statistically, you're more likely to be harmed by a buffalo than by a shark. The danger we imagine isn't always the danger we face. Sometimes the real risks are much more ordinary and closer to home. Now let's talk about childhood. In India, a child might receive 6 or 7 toys per year on average. In the United States, that number can go above 70 in a single year, especially during the holiday season. In many other countries, the number stays under 20. More toys, more options, but does that really mean more happiness? Not necessarily. Abundance doesn't automatically create satisfaction. Years ago, a concept vehicle called the Truck of the Future was introduced. It didn't even have traditional tires. It was designed to handle nearly any terrain imaginable. On paper, it sounded revolutionary. It never became mainstream. Why? Because speed, safety, and functionality simply weren't good enough. Speaking of scale, the average human consumes around 2,000 calories per day. A blue whale, on the other hand, can eat up to 500,000 calories in a single feeding, 500,000 calories in one go. Nature operates on levels that are almost impossible for us to comprehend. Here's something even more surprising. You're technically blind for about 30 minutes every single day, and you don't even realize it. Every time you blink, your vision shuts off for a fraction of a second. Add all those blinks together, and it totals around half an hour daily. But your brain fills in the gaps so seamlessly that you never notice the darkness. The human body is quietly performing miracles all the time. Now imagine trying to drink coffee in zero gravity. In space, liquids float instead of staying inside a cup. To solve this, specially designed cups allow astronauts to sip coffee without gravity. It looks simple, but the design is based on precise physics principles. Even something as ordinary as drinking coffee becomes a challenge when the environment changes. Now let's step into the world of food industry experiments, specifically strange ones. McDonald's once experimented with bubblegum-flavored broccoli. Yes, broccoli that tasted like bubblegum. The idea was to make vegetables more appealing to children. Parents might approve because it's healthy, kids might approve because it's sweet. But the reality, almost nobody liked it. Kids found it confusing, adults found it unnecessary. The experiment quietly disappeared.
Marketing creativity can go to extreme lengths as well. In one campaign, a mascara brand placed giant fake eyelashes on public transportation vehicles. As buses or trains moved through the city, it looked like they were applying mascara to the streets themselves. It was bizarre, clever, and impossible to ignore. Sometimes marketing works not because it makes sense, but because it captures attention. Let's shift to aviation. The Boeing 767 aircraft contains approximately 3.1 million individual parts. Each component must be precisely assembled to create a machine capable of flying thousands of feet above the ground. The engineering complexity behind something we casually board for travel is staggering. Technology adoption tells another fascinating story. The telephone took 75 years to reach 50 million users. Television needed 13 years. But the mobile game Angry Birds reached 50 million users in just 35 days. Not months, days. That's the power of the digital age. Speed has become the defining factor of success. There was also another futuristic truck concept built to climb nearly any terrain: rocks, mud, steep slopes. It looked unstoppable. But being capable of everything meant compromising on key performance areas. Fixing its disadvantages proved too difficult, and it never truly entered mass production. Sometimes trying to do it all results in doing nothing exceptionally well. Have you ever seen how astronauts wash their hair in space? Water doesn't fall downward, it floats, so they use minimal water, specialized shampoo, and careful towel drying. For this reason, many astronauts are advised to keep short hair. Even simple daily routines require redesign in different environments. Your heart, meanwhile, pumps around 70 grams of blood with every beat. It does this continuously, without rest. The consistency is almost unbelievable. If humans approached their goals with even a fraction of that persistence, the results could be extraordinary. Extinction patterns reveal something troubling as well. Historically, many extinct species have been birds. Scientists suggest that environmental changes and technological radiation may contribute over time. As human technology advances, sometimes nature bears the cost. Despite having a smaller share of the world's population, the United States produces around 15% of the world's waste. Consumption habits matter. Development brings convenience, but it also brings consequences. Our bodies also have something called the diving reflex. When your face is submerged in water, certain bodily functions automatically slow down to help conserve oxygen. It's an ancient survival mechanism hidden within us. Now let's talk about smartphones. Whether it's Apple, Samsung, or Nokia, almost every smartphone is rectangular. Why not circular? Because rectangles are practical. They fit in pockets, align with video formats, and are easier to grip and use. A circular phone might look interesting, but functionally it would be awkward. Even gaming consoles and cameras follow similar design logic. Now we reach the heart of the topic: flop products from famous companies. PepsiCo once launched Crystal Pepsi, a transparent version of its classic cola. The idea was that a clear drink would feel purer and healthier. But consumers associated the dark color with the traditional taste. When they saw a clear cola, their brains told them something was wrong. The flavor felt different, even if it wasn't drastically changed. Internal voices reportedly warned leadership about the risks, but the product launched anyway. Within 2 years, it was discontinued after a massive failure. There were also so-called vintage Pepsi erasers circulating online. Erasers shaped like classic Pepsi cans. But interestingly, these weren't official products from Pepsi. They were independently created novelty items. Then there's Colgate. Known globally for toothpaste, Colgate decided in 1982 to enter the frozen food market with Colgate Kitchen Entrees. Imagine buying lasagna from the same brand that makes your toothpaste. Consumers couldn't separate the brand image. Toothpaste and dinner simply didn't belong together in people's minds. The product stayed on shelves and quietly disappeared. Had it succeeded, Colgate might have expanded into a full food line. There's also an unusual candy example, Candy Cop bubblegum, which tasted remarkably like toothpaste, containing ingredients similar to those found in dental products. Chewing gum that feels like brushing your teeth is a confusing experience. In 2017, in Japan, KFC released a limited edition sunscreen called Extra Crispy Sunscreen. It functioned like normal sunscreen, but its scent resembled fried chicken. The combination of sun protection and fried chicken aroma grabbed massive attention. It sold out quickly as a novelty, but it was more of a promotional stunt than a long-term product. So, what do all these stories teach us? Even the biggest brands in the world can miscalculate. Even companies with billions in revenue can misunderstand their customers. Innovation requires risk. Sometimes those risks lead to breakthroughs. Other times, they lead to bubblegum broccoli and chicken-scented sunscreen. The difference between success and failure often lies in understanding human psychology, how people perceive taste, color, design, and brand identity. A clear cola might chemically resemble regular cola, but if it doesn't look right, people reject it. A toothpaste brand selling frozen meals may logically expand into food, but emotionally, consumers resist. Big companies fail not because they lack resources, but because they misread perception. And perception is powerful. The next time you see a major brand launch something unusual, remember this. Behind every flop is a story of ambition, confidence, and sometimes overconfidence. Failure at that scale isn't just embarrassing, it's expensive. And that's what makes these stories fascinating, because they remind us that no one, no matter how famous or powerful, is immune to mistakes.